Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 My Team Career Mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we head to the Belgian GP here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Very excited for this one. And as well, we actually have a bit of a special episode for one team here in today's episode, and that is McLaren. They have brought a McLaren Golf scheme here in the 2022 F1 car as well. There you see it on your screen right there. Another beautiful, beautiful livery. I will actually link the mod down in the description if you want to go download that on PC. So McLaren brings back the McLaren Golf livery that was so popular in 2021 at Monaco, and here we are now seeing it on the 2022 car for Spa. Now, as you can see, we're gonna have to take a grid penalty, unfortunately, again in today's episode after the Hungarian GP. And what a Hungarian GP it was such a blast to drive at the Hungarian GP circuit there, and it was overall a solid race for us here. We had decent pace, and I was a little bit concerned though, compared to, you know, Hungary. This is a completely different kind of circuit, some very long straightaways here in Spa, and I was pretty concerned about this race. This is one of the ones on the calendar that actually circled saying the way our car is, this is probably going to be a bit of a rough race for us here now, and I was pretty confident that's how it was going to go when we rolled into this weekend as well. Now, the practice programs that I was doing, specifically the race strategy program was the only one I was doing this weekend here, and then I actually simulated the other ones in quick practice. I know quick practice is a little bit bugged right now, and I feel like I need to stop doing that because it's actually, I think, increasing the wear way quicker on my engine parts. So, but the race strategy actually went pretty well here. I was dealing with a little bit of understeer in the car, and actually I had to also lower the tire pressures a little bit again in this setup. But overall, I got the car driving to my liking for the most part here, and was able to set some decent, consistent lap times. But I just, like I said, didn't feel confident with the pace of this car. I actually forgot to scroll down before I hit advance, so I don't even know where I ended up compared to my teammate of Oscar Piastri here in practice. But it's so hard to judge, of course, myself and our teammate of Piastri. We beat Piastri for the majority of the season, but he has proven that he's got the pace to hang with us and beat us as well. But it's, like I said, so hard to really judge our teammate of Piastri because of the lack of pace. In this Trackhouse car, you do see that we do take a 10 grid place penalty or 10 place grid penalty, so we will be starting at the back basically, which means I wasn't putting much effort into this lap. But back to the whole Piastri and myself in terms of like pace and whatnot, I can confirm that Justin Marks is planning to keep both myself and Piastri with the team next season as well, simply because, like I said, it's so hard to get an idea of who's actually going to be able to, you know, make it here in F1, and hopefully next season will be where we find out. One thing I forgot to highlight here as we come through across the line, we came in from this summer break actually, and one of the messages I got before the weekend from back at the HQ was that there is likely going to be some regulation changes going into next season, so that is something to keep in mind as well, to be a big opportunity for this team next season. But there you see, last on the grid, way off of Piastri, but I didn't put much of a lap in to begin with. So let's head to the grid here in Belgium.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race that the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher back in 1992. So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high quality racing as well. Simply put it, there's no place quite like it. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, George Russell and Magnussen, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher and Esteban Ocon, Bottas, Gasly, Guan Yu Zhou and Tsunoda, Stroll, Albon, Nicholas Latifi and Oscar Piastri. Ricciardo, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Vettel, Golden Boy and Carlos Sainz will start from the back of the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. That was a great win in the last race, but can they keep that momentum going into this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Ready to go lights out here in the Belgian GP. Can you guess what kind of strategy we're going on? I bet you can't. We haven't seen this one before. Medium to hard compound tires now as we are ready to go lights out here. Charles Leclerc as usual on pole, and coming back from the summer break he is still on form. Leclerc looking for a runaway World Drivers' Championship here, but still there is enough time for things to go wrong for Leclerc, so he's got to make sure he's smart about the rest of his season. Carlos Sainz starts behind us due to a grid penalty there. Ricardo and the McLaren Gulf here. A special race for McLaren. Let's see how they do. 5 red lights, a very quick release there. Leclerc is going to lead the way down into turn 1. Actually, you see him pull to the left side of the track to try and cover off Verstappen into turn 1. Pretty much you could, it's kind of a home race for Verstappen, being Dutch-Belgian Verstappen is, so he's kind of got 2 back-to-back home races, you could kind of say, here as we head to the Netherlands in the next episode here now. But Verstappen's going to be wheel-to-wheel with Leclerc through Rouge and Radian, and they're going to continue wheel-to-wheel. Lewis Hamilton's right there, the 7-time world champion, ready to pounce on an opportunity over the defending champion, and then trying to become a world champion of Charles Leclerc here as they head down this long straightaway here to the right-hander, and it's still wheel-to-wheel between Leclerc and Verstappen's going to get out in front here by about half a car length, but no, Leclerc's not done fighting yet. He gets himself just out in front, but now Verstappen has better traction. He takes the lead of the Belgian GP here on this opening lap. What a start for Verstappen, knowing what's at stake. He needs to win GPs starting now and needs to win a bunch of them if he wants to be able to run down Charles Leclerc. There you see Perez and George Russell wheel-to-wheel as well as we're heading into this long sweeping left-hander, and here we go. Magnussen up the inside, 3 wide. What an aggressive move right there from K-Mag, and somehow they work it out there and he falls in behind, and they continue wheel-to-wheel between Perez and Russell. I was about to mention how you don't want to go too wide through that left-hander, and then they decided they're going to try and go 3 wide now. But you can see terrible traction actually from Perez right there, and that allows Russell to get out in front of him here. As you can see the rest of the field coming through, and you see one of the McLaren Golfs right there. That is Lando Norris, and such a nice livery there on the car, replicating the already the McLaren livery that we have, just with the McLaren Golf colors on it, but looks fantastic either way. Over all of that chaos though in this opening lap, we do manage to keep it clean here on this first lap of racing here in Spa. Ricardo at the inside of Lance Stroll actually here as we head down into the chicane, and we got chaos, so it looks like we've had a crash there with Yuki Tsunoda. We got a bunch of cars stopped. I was able to kind of slip my way through. The safety car would come out. We were up into P15. Time penalties handed out for cars that were stopped on the circuit, and you see Yuki Tsunoda sailed into the back of Bottas and then into the side of Zhou Guanyu, so he tried to do a double whammy right there on the Alfa Romeos, but look at this, he just sends it in way too hard, and I mean takes him completely out, takes himself out of this GP. So there was some time penalties handed out to some drivers that were stopped and doing, I think it was for illegal blocking here, but nobody else would come into the pit lane, so we were still P15 as we were ready to go green for a very quick restart here, because everyone was already still together because we had only completed 1 lap of racing here. So Verstappen will lead the field back to the green flag racing conditions here as we're just behind the Australian of Daniel Ricciardo down in towards turn 1. But what a chaotic start right there, right towards the end of that first lap for Yuki Tsunoda, who finds himself out of the Belgian GP. Very unfortunate always when you especially see, in kind of an alliance car there with AlphaTauri as well being under the Red Bull powertrains. And as you guys know from the last episode, Porsche is coming in with Red Bull next season, but that also means that anybody that was already powered by Red Bull powertrains is going to be following along. So AlphaTauri is going to have Porsche power. As you see, Carlos Sainz able to pass me after that grid penalty. He's working his way forward, but we are either going to switch as well to the Porsche power, or we actually might be bringing in Chevrolet potentially. That's been a rumor going around. Justin Marks is in talks, our team owner, with Chevrolet to maybe come on board next season, a part of this team, and kind of go to our own power after relying on Red Bull for the first season. There's other engine suppliers that are rumored to be interested in the sport as well here, but we'll talk about that at a later time. As you can see, Carlos Sainz going up the inside of both Ricciardo and Zhou Guanyu. He might have picked up some damage right there. I had a great viewpoint of this actually as I would repass Albon with DRS, but they were all 3 wide, and Carlos, you saw him drive into the side right there of the McLaren of Ricciardo, and I was able to close right up on this battle, which is fantastic, but he would pick up damage, Carlos Sainz did. So at the conclusion of the 6th lap, in comes comes the Ferrari. Not the beginning of the day that Carlos Sainz has been looking for here. Got his first win in Silverstone in both real life and here in our F122 My Team career mode, but the inconsistency has been real. Albon in the Williams again passing me. He's got a 5-second time penalty, and so does his teammate of Nicholas Latifi, so they'll both have to serve those when they come into the pits here a little bit later. Now to lap 8, here comes Charles Leclerc putting the fight though to Max Verstappen with the DRS assistance here down into the braking zone. They're going to be wheel to wheel. Verstappen looked like he kind of missed his apex a little bit, and that allowed Leclerc to easily pass him. Might even been a little bit of contact there, but it didn't look like it resulted in any damages. Just really quick and light contact here, and actually Hamilton under pressure there from both George Russell and Sergio Perez as well. But we come through to now lap 10. We were getting ready for pit stops to kick off here now, and I was very excited for this pit lane for myself at the conclusion of lap 10 because Nicholas Latifi had even run me down at this point. We have the slowest car on the grid. There's no secret about it. Even after the summer break, all the upgrades that we had planned didn't go through, which was unfortunate there. As you see, Leclerc is actually going to get beaten out of his pit box by Max Verstappen. So a second chance for Verstappen to take control of this Grand Prix. We'll keep an eye on that battle between those two, and what an important battle it is for Leclerc, who's trying to run away with this World Drivers' Championship, and Verstappen, who's trying to keep it alive and go back-to-back World Drivers' Championships. Leclerc has 10 wins on the season right now coming into the Belgian GP. Could he make it 11 here today? We come into the pit lane. Albon has to serve a 5-second stop and go before they service his car, so we will be able to actually get out in front of Albon, even though we came in well behind him here. But the hard compound tire goes on. We exit, and just like I said, we come out in front of Albon, and Lance Stroll, the fellow Canadian, is going to be just behind myself here as we return to the racing surface. And I knew this was probably going to be bad news for me. We're on the hard tire, but it's a very cold tire right here. We've got to get them warmed up, and I just couldn't do anything up here through Radiant, and that would actually open the door wide open for Lance Stroll. And the AI, they do struggle on cold tires as well, but they don't struggle nearly as significantly as the player I've noticed. And look at that, Stroll is just able to say see you later, cruise by, and I knew I really couldn't do much defense on him right there. And I'm still trying to get these tires to heat up, and he would pull out by over a second on myself, and Albon was actually just as quick closing in on me as well. So I was in big trouble here with my pace on this first couple of laps on this hard tire. So just trying to, of course, stay consistent, calm, cool, collected, make sure I don't make any mistakes here. But both Albon and Vettel are closing into me. Both myself and Piastri having pretty rough races here as expected today. Like I said, wasn't very confident coming into this one with the pace of this car, especially the straight line speed of this car. Now to lap 15, speaking of straight line speed, Leclerc's got a lot of that right now with the DRS, and here he goes up the inside of Max Verstappen here once again for the lead. Leclerc wants it. He wants to win here in the Belgian GP, the same track that he got his first career win at back in, 2019, and then he went and defended that just after with a win in Monza here. Now as Verstappen tries to send one back up the inside, couldn't quite make it happen there, as we're going to run through the order late in this Belgian GP. Lewis Hamilton again on the podium currently 3 seconds ahead of his teammate of George Russell, who's under attack all race long, I feel like, from Sergio Perez. Kevin Magnussen in the Haas having a fantastic day here in that Haas, and you got Fernando Alonso again putting up good numbers for Alpine. Alpine's probably been the best midfield team, I think, so far this season, other than Haas has actually been right there with them. So, but those are definitely the two best midfield teams, is Alpine and Haas so far. Lando Norris in that Gulf McLaren running in a strong 9th position here. McLaren has their ups and downs so far this season, and they've been making some quite steady gains in the R&D, and I could see them being a genuine threat to be at the top of the midfield in Season 2, and then maybe even by Season 3, if they continue doing what they're doing, they might even be a threat to win some races and be on some podiums and whatnot. You saw Carlos Sainz trying to work his way forward, Ricciardo having his struggles here today. Now it's actually looking like a real Daniel Ricciardo here, where Norris is up in the points and Ricciardo kind of struggling there, as you see myself behind Albon, and Vettel chasing us down, Nicholas Latifi, and unfortunately our teammate of Oscar Piastri trying to chase down Latifi. The slowest car on the track right now is Piastri. Not what we like to see with this Trackhouse team, but like I said, over the summer break, unfortunately some of the upgrades we were hoping to bring into Belgium just didn't come through, and we actually had to redevelop those parts there. As you see, Albon was able to get past myself here, and I was just trying my best to remain within the DRS zone of Albon here, and that was a bit of a struggle. I was having to drain my battery a little bit. Like I said, we just don't have the pace here today in Spa, but I was giving it everything I had, trying to, like I said, stay within that DRS zone, hope for the best, and we were able to comfortably stay within the DRS for the most part as we were approaching 3 laps to go in this GP, and you can see right there, we were really able to close up through Sector 2. That was our best part of the circuit. We could kind of get close, and then Sector 3 he'd pull away with that straight line, as well as in Sector 1. So we come through to now a lap later, lap 20. Mark is actually going to come over the radio and tell me that we have an issue with our engine. Now, this is not a mechanical failure, but it was certainly a mechanical issue, because I would significantly lose engine power in this car, and you will see the results here in just a second. The pace would significantly drop off over the next lap here, and you can see Vettel was all over me already. The Aston Martin Albon now nearly 2 seconds ahead when he was within DRS previously here. And look at this, Vettel's going to cruise by. I wasn't using my battery. I was only at 30 some odd % battery here, so we would fade in behind him. But as we came through now a lap later, actually coming to start the final lap of this GP, it was now 2 seconds between myself and Vettel. So definitely not the ending we were looking for things to kind of go wrong again, and it's going to be 19th, it looks like, for myself. He's 5.8 seconds ahead of Latifi. I just kind of banked it down at this final lap. I knew I couldn't do much now and pass anybody or lose any spots, but Charles Leclerc, who passed Verstappen twice today, is going to come through out of the final chicane to win the Belgian GP in the same track he won his first career race at in 2019. Verstappen comes up short in second place. Lewis Hamilton again on the podium. Very disappointing for Verstappen, who was looking to come out of the summer break to close in on the World Drivers' Championship. Now he's going to have 8 races left to gain nearly 100 points on Leclerc, who's going to need a downfall. We're going to come through to cross the line for a bit of a disappointing but almost expected 19th place finish here in the Belgian GP, with some engine issues towards the end. Really set us back as well, but overall just not the day we were looking for with this Trackhouse Racing team. Driver of the day is going to go to the Spaniard of Carlos Sainz. Let's head to the podium for the post-race celebrations.
And here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Ferme after a fantastic race. What do you think it was today, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit, familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win.
Charles Leclerc gets his 11th win of the season. Have we ever seen a dominance like this before in an F1 game? It's absolutely incredible what Leclerc is able to do so far, and he's got 8 more races to hold on and just not choke a nearly 100-point lead once again. He had over 100-point lead earlier in the season, had some issues that went down below 100 points, and now he's nearly back to that. But, you know, we got Max Verstappen's next home race here of the Dutch GP coming up in the Netherlands, which could be hopefully an opportunity for Verstappen to close that gap. And I want to see it actually, you know, go down towards the end of the season, but right now it's looking like a runaway for Leclerc, and it really does seem like that Ferrari has the best speed of anybody in a straight line. And that certainly, you know, made a quite heavy difference here today in Belgium. There, to see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. Yuki Tsunoda being the only retirement out of this race, and that came on the very end of the first lap when he decided to sail it off into the back of Valtteri Bottas's car and absolutely tear off the, you know, front end of his car here. So we're going to take a quick look here at the standings. 96 points is the gap between Verstappen, who's chasing Leclerc. As you can see, Piastri, Vettel, and Latifi, the only 3 drivers without points this season. Vettel's had chances. He's just had really rough luck, and hopefully Vettel can change that luck around here within the next couple of episodes. As a Vettel fan, obviously I would like to see that change, as we would focus on durability, team building there on the days in between the GP. You can see some upgrades going to bring us relatively even here to Williams with the upgrades that we have coming, but then, you know, Williams are going to make their own upgrades as well and try to increase that gap again. So trying to get some upgrades in the car, but I'm really hoping that we have some regulation changes announced soon. Like I said, we got a message before the GP that it was looking likely that we will have some regulation changes, so we're going to try and maybe not crank out too many upgrades on this car from this point on and just save up so many resource points to adapt parts and then just absolutely crank them out going into Season 2, and hopefully we can be a strong midfield contender. And obviously with some engine changes that we might have coming here as well, that could play a different role, and you never know. I mean, if we have a miracle, we could be one of the top teams next season. You never know what's going to happen. But as always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. That's going to do it for us here here today. Leclerc goes 3 in a row. Once again, shocker there. In the next one, we head to Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Max Verstappen's home race. We'll see what he can do there. Or can Leclerc upset the crowd? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.